What gets harder as you age? Warming up. At 50, I can still skateboard and ride wheelies on my bike and stuff, but if I don't stretch, I'm gonna fuck something up. In the morning, I have to get the blood moving around and not just jump out of bed. Again, something is gonna get pulled if I just run to the kitchen like a 12-year-old. Grunting happens. I don't know what it is, but every time I change a major body position, I have to grunt. Bending over, seated to standing, reach something high. Grunt, grunt, grunt. Bending over to pick something up, standing back up from a squatting position, Time. I've really been noticing it the past few years, how fast time passes. Months pass like weeks now. It's really unsettling and makes me angry. When I was in my teens and 20s, it seemed like I had plenty of time for everything. But now that I'm edging into my mid-30s, everything takes so much longer, and time goes so much faster. Work eats up time, errands eat up time, commuting eats up time. And then there's so little time for other things, and by then I am usually exhausted. Fuck this shit. Holy shit. My first Reddit gold. Émoticône, riant de toutes ses dents. Émoticône, riant de toutes ses dents. Émoticône, riant de toutes ses dents. Thank you for your kindness. It's actually related to how the brain works. When you experience things for the first time, it's exciting and it makes a bigger mark in your memory. When you're younger, you naturally have far more of these exciting firsts, so more things stand out in your mind. As we get older, there are fewer of these. We settle into a routine, and days just kind of blur together. The more exciting things you make yourself do, the more new things that will stick in your memory, the less time will seem to blur together for you. Works for me at least. Edit, mid-30s here. Watching people younger than you be way more successful than you have become in shorter time. I used to say, yeah, Bill Gates is doing pretty well, but he had a 35-year head start. Then it became, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is doing pretty well, but he had a 6-year head start. Now it's like, Taylor Swift is worth $150 million. Fool with me, what am I doing? This will likely only get worse. And yes, I did just use money in this example, but use anything else you care about, starting a family, traveling the world, whatever, and it gets harder to realize you were probably a regular person. Gosh, that's a toxic way of thinking, man. Don't let others' accomplishments compare to yours. Set your own arbitrary goals and strive to achieve those. These people you've noted have been very fortunate, but for every one of them is literally a million others living what they would consider a happy life. If you constantly compare what you do to the 1%, frankly, you'll burn yourself out. I think it's harder to get excited about the future. As I get older, I know there is less and less potential in store for me. When I was 16, the sky was the limit. Now, I'm not going to be a billionaire. I'm not going to have 4 or 5 kids. I'm not going to become fluent in French. There's a finite amount of time left. And as you become cognizant of that, your expectations for what you can accomplish with that time becomes more and more realistic at it. I'm not a huge fish guy, but there's a lyric that I love for anyone in their late 20s. It's a new day, but the morning has passed. Not sure why I'm including it here, but I am. 1. Realizations like this is the last car I will buy and drive in my lifetime too. Regretting opportunities such as I will never visit that place again. 3. Comparing what your kids are doing at this age to what you did at that age and hoping they get more out of their time. 4. Having a day when nothing hurts or thinking you can still do beat without hurting something. 5. Realizing your parents rely more and more on you, whereas it used to be you relying on them for everything. 6. Watching your friends or family going through the same mistakes you've made and learned from already and being helpless. You know they won't heed warnings at it. Well, thank you for my first Reddit gold. Thank you, kind stranger. Now, just to figure out how it's used. Giving a SHT about stupid problems. As you get older, you bury friends, family, lovers. You lose sleep raising children. You struggle with finances and big decisions. So when people complain about missing a bus, or having a stuffy nose, or it being too humid, or any other of the million billion idiotic things people complain about, it just rolls over you. Conversely, real problems, a colleague being diagnosed with bone cancer, hurt so much more. The realization that everything you see on TV, all the ads, marketing, is no longer aimed at you. Those commercials you used to watch when you were a kid or a teenager, they were geared towards you. The older married people in the commercials looked old to you at one point, but now they look so young. I used to watch hockey all the time and think the players all looked like men. But now, you look at them and they all seem like boys. And the thing is, you don't recall when that switch happened. You just notice it. You realize you're no longer at the start of the arch or in the middle, but you're past the arch, and now you can look back. It's a very strange feeling, and I find it rather hard. I'm not really old by any measure, but it's a surreal feeling when you look at the trends and the media and you're no longer part of the target audience. enjoying current music. I remember being a kid and telling myself, I'll never be that old man who shits all over newer music. Unfortunately, that's exactly what I've become. New music isn't music to me. Growing up in the 80s, there were bands. People sang their lungs out and played real instruments. Now I hear drum machines and auto-tune. People talking / rapping / whatever over a sample, usually from an old song, and calling it music. Anyway, not here to bash today's sounds, just saying it gets harder to relate to new music as you get older. Also, whatever music was out when you were 18, 19, 20, that's always going to be the best music to you. You'll associate those songs and artists with the greatest times in your life. Growing up, learning to drive, the freedom of going out on your own, getting laid for the first time, all of that stuff. Doesn't matter what the radio was playing. Whatever it was, it's always going to be important to you. I'm in my 40s and in excellent physical shape. I can outrun and outlast youth half my age. One thing I can't do is just get up and go. Youth are so amazing at that. I was watching some high school kids I coach goof around. They can sprint and stop on a dime for fun. It made me wince thinking about what would happen to my knees if I tried that. It's actually related to how the brain works. When you experience things for the first time, it's exciting and it makes a bigger mark in your memory. When you're younger, you naturally have far more of these exciting firsts, so more things stand out in your mind. As we get older, there are fewer of these. We settle into a routine, and days just kind of blur together. The more exciting things you make yourself do, the more new things that will stick in your memory, the less time will seem to blur together for you. Works for me at least. Edit, mid-30s here. 18, and currently battling this. Trying to not have a complete routine. Mondays through Fridays, I have a set schedule of school, and then work at my internship, and I barely remember weekdays because of it, but then I remember weekends clearly because I have fun. I'm looking to make my life interesting so that when I do get to that point, I'll hopefully make my life interesting and exciting enough to live the rest of it out content and happy. I don't like normal routines because I feel so time constricted by everything, and it makes me feel like a chained animal to society. If I'm going to be chained, I at least want to make it bearable. 46 here. On the bright side, assuming we don't have any major medical problems, we'll more than likely still be here and providing advice to our kids when they are our age. I frequently get a sense of not being quite old enough yet, not wise enough to give the right advice. No matter how many years go by, on the inside I'm still that little kid unsure about much at all. Like others have mentioned in this thread, that's okay, because I care less about the little stuff as time passes. But still, when it comes to advice to my kids about big decisions, I laugh internally when they ask me because what the hell do I know? Stay healthy, Lori D. Odds are we're only one halfway there. You're crazy if high school were the best days of your life. High school was just another thing to do. I looked forward to the weekend as much then as I do now. Your life is what you make of it. You don't have to work in a dead-end job for the rest of your life. Employers are always hiring, you just don't put the effort into look. I'm relatively young at 28, but I've already worked / lived in Atlanta, Chicago, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and now Augusta. I've traveled all over the Southeast and 2 big trips to San Francisco and Portland. Been to 4 different countries in the last 5 years. I could sleep for a solid 12 hours and wake up without even the faintest need to urinate. I'm a 26-year-old guy and have never been able to do this. I could sleep through the night without needing to piss, but after 9+ hours, I'll have to pee first thing when I wake up, guaranteed. I'm screwed when I get older. Edit. Clarification of gender. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain? You are young, and life is long, and there is time to kill today, and then one day you find 10 years have got behind you, no one told you when to run. You miss the starting gun and you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking, racing around to come up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death. I don't get this attitude. You are choosing to be this way by giving up on things you apparently want. Good music is good music, just like everything else. If you want to be part of something, you have to put more effort into than 5 minutes of vague experience, and then just saying something sucks. I'm 38, have a good job that pays well, and a family. I also decided I wanted to get back into music, so I did. I now run a group of acoustic musicians that goes different places and plays shows together. I also just put together a group of artists, mostly painters, and now the 2 groups are working together. These things don't make my life harder, they make it better. If the things you said seem harder, it's that you really didn't want them anymore, which is fine too. Some people are happier sitting at home in front of the fire reading the paper. I stopped looking for the life partner and started looking for someone interesting and compatible to spend the now with. I found that for now. If it is over tomorrow, I know there are more interesting people in the world. Nothing lasts forever, and if I was looking for forever, I'd go back to taxiderming my exes. Gosh, that's a toxic way of thinking, man. Don't let others' accomplishments compare to yours. Set your own arbitrary goals and strive to achieve those. These people you've noted have been very fortunate, but for every one of them is literally a million others living what they would consider a happy life. If you constantly compare what you do to the 1%, frankly, you'll burn yourself out. I think humans are programmed to concentrate more on family as life progresses, and the definition of a friend changes. You end up with buddies. I have my shooting/hunting buddies. I have my homebrewing buddies. I have my music buddies. I have work buddies. There's no more come over and hang out all day buddy like when I was a teenager. Even if you don't have a family that depends on you, just having to be able to support yourself makes it really hard. Having to get up and go to work full-time while your world is falling apart, or else you'll lose your job and your money and can't support yourself. I imagine it is a million times harder when you have to support others though, like you said. Yeah, so you keep asking yourself, what have I done with my life in the end? And you keep trying to understand the goal of life. I'm only 29, but I already feel like I went past my life. Not that I hate what I did, but I wanted to open my own pub. Wanted to travel the world, buy a house. Damn, if I do only one thing of this list, I won't be able to do the rest forever. I'm 33, set in my career, and I'm go 5 ING to the post office to fill out passport shit. A college friend and I had this discussion about how our lives are boring as shit now, so we're both saying fuck it and buying one-way tickets to Vietnam. Not sure how long we're gonna stay, but I'm pretty sure I'll be there at least 3 months. I've always wanted to backpack South America too, so we'll see about that after I'm finished in SE Asia. So yeah, fuck it. I'm reverting back to my late teen/early 20s self, minus a little hair. Seriously, this needs more upvotes. To say I led a hectic life until a few years ago is an understatement. I lived literally right outside of NYC, worked 60-hour weeks, always went out and had a coke addiction. I stopped the drugs and partying, moved to the country, got a house and a dog. This is a ton better than what I used to do. A few months ago for my 32nd birthday, my brother took me out to NYC to go clubbing. I tapped out less than 2 hours because all I wanted to do was go home and hug my dog. Yeah, for me it's not so much back pain, but waking up at 7 a.m. on the weekends and not being able to go back to sleep. Sucks. I miss the days of being able to sleep half the day away. It also sucks that I can't stay up as late as I used to anymore, at least not without really feeling it the next day. Number 3. My son is 11 and rarely goes outside. He's content to spend all day playing Minecraft and watching YouTube videos, mostly about people playing Minecraft. When I was his age, the NES had just come out and I had one, but most of my days were still spent waist-deep in mud and creeks and swamps looking for snakes or turtles. Wandering the woods, riding around the neighborhood on my bike, coming home only for a sip of gross, tasting water from the hose, and coming inside only when the street lights came on. Now there's this perception that there are child molesters around every corner. You have to make play dates with other parents instead of a kid just ringing the doorbell to ask if they could play. I want my son to not look back at this time as wasted. Maybe he won't. I'm trying not to impose anything on him or make him do things he doesn't want. I take him on outings to petting zoos and trails. He doesn't complain about these things, but when we're home it's rare to see him outside his room with his face in a screen. In my 40s now, I think it's much easier now than in my 20s to 30s. In the past, there'd be social obligations almost daily, lots of eating and drinking and meeting new people. Now that life is more settled, the great friendships established in the past are still there, though we don't meet as often. I can have routines, eat simply, exercise, and for the first time in my life, the six-pack abs are coming through. This is mine as well. I noticed that 34-year-old Scott cares about a lot less things than 20-year-old Scott. The things I do care about, though, I care much, much more about. I can actually pinpoint the advice that led to the change. My father asked me one time why I get upset about little things. I told him that little things can lead to much bigger things, and he then said, what would forever change how I looked at things? Will these little things matter to you in 2 weeks? I'm not telling you not to care, but if you can't see something being an issue 2 weeks from now, 2 months, or 2 years, etc. From now, it should not be something that you worry too much about. Your energy isn't endless. Use it on things that mean something. I still waste energy on frivolous things, but now it's not angry energy, and I am a much calmer and happier person. This was the first time I'd seen them in nearly 4 years, and it will probably be another 4 before I see them again. Get everyone on Skype and see each other more often. My sister lives several states away and only sees my parents like once or twice a year, but they Skype several times a week. So much, so they have a genuine and current relationship with her 4-year-old son. Seriously, if you have to buy them a laptop and ship it to them set up for Skype, you won't regret it. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.